Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of ZILLIONe, let me welcome you all for today's webinar on deployment of Sage 300 ERP in cloud. First of all, we hope you all are staying safe and working from home. Also, I'm sure all the companies who are joining us today here have taken the required measurements to minimize the effect on their particular businesses. So we at ZILLIONe, as your ERP partner, we thought of conducting this webinar today to introduce you to cloud hosting your ERP, which can be very beneficial in times like this, where you do not have or where you have limited access to your office or to a physical server room. Also today we are ready to address any of the issues you have related to the accessibility of your ERP during this time. Before I introduce the first presenter, let us have a look at the agenda today. So initially we'll be taking you through the cloud strategies and what are the latest developments and how adopting cloud can benefit an organization as a whole, not just for an ERP. And then we'll move to how you can do the deployments in cloud, and then in particular in Microsoft Azure, and the architectures and the security concerns that we have. Also, along with the benefits, there are risks as well. So we'll be discussing a bit about the risks part as well. And also at the end of the day, how you can expect the support from us, and what are the enhancements we can propose you all to define your processes in a better manner. And then we'll have a Q&A session as well, right? Without any further ado, let me introduce you to our first presenter today. He is Mr. Nicholas Lim, the business manager for our region from Sage. He's joining us today from Singapore, and he'll be mainly talking to you about cloud strategies in general. So we'll start. Nick, over to you.
Great. Hey, thanks, Amila. A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm glad to be on this webinar, and I trust everyone is keeping well, right? A huge thank you to the team at ZILLIONe as well for organizing this session. So in the next hour or so, we'll cover topics that will allow you to utilize existing functionalities in Sage 300 Cloud while leveraging on the latest and best cloud technology in the market today through Microsoft Azure in order to future-proof your business and drive the next level of innovation for your organization. So our role in this journey is actually to offer solutions that allow you to bridge the gap between your existing business processes versus the future state of things, which is where you actually want to move your business towards. And if you look at this in totality, the key enabler of it is the cloud. So many of you here likely started out with Sage 300 by having an on-premises deployment, and it was straightforward at that point of time, and it makes sense, right, when you're just starting out. But over time, as your needs grew, the demand for cloud-connected solutions and services became more apparent. The overall business climate has changed, and the need for anytime, anywhere access, it could not be of greater importance, especially during this time when we're facing this pandemic. And Steve will actually later show you a bit more on how we're addressing these in Sage 300 Cloud. And for many of you, you may also want to look forward and beyond and actually consider how the business climate will be like after this situation is over, right? And maybe even take this time to actually pursue certain technologies that will enable you to leapfrog the competition. So you may have heard of emerging technologies such as AI, such as blockchain, and the Internet of Things, also known as IoT. And the underlying tool to enable these technologies is actually through the public cloud, such as Azure, right, where you can actually scale your mission-critical workloads in a highly available environment. From there, you can actually provision new instances on demand in a matter of hours compared to weeks or even months in a typical on-premise deployment, right? So next slide, please. So, and to actually make this concept a reality and an option for many of you moving forward, we are very pleased to announce our collaboration with Microsoft Azure through our partner ZILLIONe Technologies. So in enabling this synergy, you get the best of both worlds. On one hand, you have Sage. We are an overall leader of end-to-end business management solutions, with Sage 300 as a solution which is tested and proven. And we have a global presence with local coverage through our in-country channel partners. And on the other side of the equation, we have Microsoft Azure, a best-in-class cloud technology provider with a wide variety of solutions and services to cater to various industries and use case scenarios. This is underpinned by a strong delivery and support system through the channel partners such as ZILLIONe, who has an expertise in both Sage and Microsoft Azure, allowing you to actually reap the best benefits possible with these two best-of-breed solutions. So without further ado, I'd actually like to pass the time to Steve, who actually touch a bit more on Sage 300 Cloud. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. A very good afternoon to everyone. So hope everyone is doing safe and all the business are in line. So let me just first explain about the cloud accessing platform. So on we'll be moving into see on what are the how we can access both the screens and how the deployments are taking place. Like it can be a new deployment, it can be existing deployment, how the channel works, and so on. We'll go with the hosting systems as well at the same time. So if I take on this now, currently Sage 300 Cloud is using a thin client technology through IIS. It's a Microsoft enabled technology, and it has been designed using HTML5. Okay, so these are the key browsers in the industry that we'll be using accessing the Sage 300 Cloud. So it can be a Microsoft Explorer, Microsoft Edge, Safari, Google Chrome, and Firefox. So and we can access the Sage 300 Cloud through any of this browser process. And if I take the technology built in, so we can access the system from any device, anytime, anywhere. So it's very much adaptability as well as it's optimized based on your devices, and all the informations which you see in your on-premises environment can be loaded into your devices. It can be your tablet, it can be a mobile, it can be like any size of inches mobile, it's laptop, it's any OS. Okay, like it can be a Mac environment, it can be a Windows environment. So throughout these any devices, by using simply a browsers above, okay, like internet, Google Chrome, Safari, Firefox, we can access the system from the place where we stand. Okay, so this is the look and feel of the both screens. So most of our Sage 300 ERP client on board. So we have been experienced this web screen as well as this classic screen in our operation. So we have been experienced this, and both the screens can be hosted in a one central cloud. Okay, now for example, if you take certain modules or components, it's in the roadmap in the web version. So still some of the functionalities, like if I take for example project job costing module, okay, so it's in the roadmap on Sage 300 web screen, but it's fully available in the desktop classic version. Okay, so these two screens can be hosted in one cloud premises. Okay, so the company or the owner of the ERP can designate the respective users which needs to be accessed. For example, if a user is using a project job costing module, we can give the access to the cloud to use the desktop version. If there is any users using the finance module like AP, AR, GL, yes, they can use the web screen. Okay, so this very much of flexible on hosting the both screens or the both UI into the cloud environment. So we can do our day-to-day transactions, okay, generate reports. It can be a standard or customized, okay, manage company financial in the both the ways, and we can maintain our what we say like global search, like nodes, like all the functionalities which available in the both end can be utilized. And this will be accessing one Sage centralized database, so where all the users are real-time synchronized to the database. So now we will look into the web screen dashboards. Okay, so in this Sage 300 Cloud, we have standard dashboards. It's 12 dashboard, we say as a widgets. In a home screen, we can load up to 6 widgets. Okay, and these widgets are accessible in Office as well as from any devices. As I said previously, it's optimized according to device and its adaptability. Okay, and how the user control works based on the user privilege which we have provided to the respective users, these widgets will perform. Okay, for example, if a user is having a accounts payable module, so the respective user can see payable aging, top vendors, so on, the widgets like that. Okay, so it's very much user friendly, security wise it's controlled. And if we take the edit and drag and drop for this, yes, it's possible. We can edit certain, now say for example, here we can see only 5 vendors listed, okay, in the sample. So if you want to see the 10 vendors in a one list, yes, of course we can do that. Okay, so if we say the previous year comparison, yes, now I want to see 2018, 19, 20, yes, definitely we can do that. Okay, so it will very much customizable based on the user's job roles. Okay, and the way you want to change the colors and keep the drag and drop, and okay, some of the things you need to like you need to have an hierarchy way. I need to have first payable aging, I need to have the vendor activity, I need to have the top vendors. So it will be very flexible to adapt according to that. So how these dashboards perform for a top strategic management team. Okay, so for example, we can see CFO's finance manager. Okay, so where they will see this, what are the things, the key things they will see? Mainly they need to look into their account balances, okay, their cash positions and the receiving aging, because the top level strategic team, they always need to see what's the bulk value. Okay, the detail is different. Okay, they need what's my cash position totally in the respective bank, what's my total aging for my in this respective USD currency. Okay, so these are the things the top team has to look into that. So it also very much flexible to give those dashboards or widgets to their control. Okay, and it's have the activity trend. Okay, so by seeing a trend, we can see the perform. Okay, how much orders I received, how much shipment I received, what are the invoice, what are the loss, and what are the things needs to be go forward. Okay, so these things kind of in a one nutshell we can view it, or else we can have in our own dashboards. And this next one of the interesting thing, the intelligence reporting. Yes, currently we've been working with crystal reporting, like standard crystal reporting and customized crystal reporting. Yes, according to the business needs. Okay, but currently where the intelligence reporting plays a major role. Okay, it's very much graphical and it's very much like a give an inside view, and even we can drill down the intelligence reporting as well to our instance section, and it's give a very clean what we say the visibility of the figures. Okay, and it gives kind of an of the picture in a one glance, like how our financial positions are there in our business. Okay, and this is cloud financial report also can be made easy now. So previously we had the financial report in the desktop version either in the classic version. Now, of course, the financial report in the cloud version as well. So we can get these benefits in the cloud, even in this pandemic situation that since we work from home. Okay, so it will give a better insight of the business, and we can use this, we can expose these reports into our web portal, we can get it to our mobile devices, we can share this Excel. So it will be run on Excel basis. So it will export, so we can use that Microsoft Excel knowledge in order to generate this intelligence reporting. Okay, now we move into the one of the interesting thing we call the deployment. Okay, we may be wondering, okay, how we can do the current move, okay, how we can move the current on-premises ERP to the cloud. Okay, so first we need to identify what needs to be migrated. Okay, we might be having certain systems. Okay, we have been having, let's say for example, we have more than 1 companies, 5 companies, 10 companies. Okay, we need to identify what are the things needs to be migrate to the cloud. It's very key area taking a decision in this. It's very much important. It's like not purchasing a server. It's very much easy purchasing a server based on the checklist. We go to the shop and we purchase one server and we install the system and give the access. That's a different story. But when we move into the cloud, we need to be very much precise what we are going to migrate to the cloud. So that's the main thing we need to identify before we move into the cloud. Okay, and migrating using the cloud. Yes, if we see, there are a lot of cloud technologies. Okay, it has Azure, we have a lot of cloud technology. We have certain, like we have Google Cloud, we have Azure Cloud, and we have Huawei Cloud. And each of every cloud tools bring its own predefined configuration dashboards that brings the users or to the company IT responsible team to fine-tune the certain areas to using that tool. Okay, so because it comes to security layers. Okay, because if we take, let me just touch on the security layers as well. Okay, we have Sage has its own security layers, and if we take the migration tool has its own security layer, and the cloud solution has its own security layers. So there are 3 types of security layers. Okay, so everything will be controlled in one central premises. Okay. Next, we move into the third, configure the required VM in the cloud. Yes, based on our requirement, we identify our requirement. We know what is the tool that we are going to use. Now, we can open a certain VMs inside the cloud. Okay, so we take the cloud, we can have a certain virtual machine, we say. So one VM can have a live database. Another VM can have a test database. Another VM can have a SQL database. Okay. Likewise, we can segregate based on our cloud requirement which we have purchased our VMs. So this is designating the VM is important when we move into a cloud environment. Okay. So if we take in our on-premises, okay, we can take another computer, we put the system. Oh, look, this is my test PC. Okay. That's it. But if we take in the cloud environment, we need to define that in our identification level. Okay. Next, we go to the performance sync. Yes, there are certain sync it's required. Okay, syncing the security, syncing of the patches, syncing the updates. Okay, some of the things that we need to do. Okay, so that will decide during the deployment of it whether we need to do the required syncing or not. Okay, that is based on the environment, based on the cloud we taken, based on the system also there. So that's a different concept. And next we come into the important thing called testing. So we need to test from different region, different country, different users. Okay, so how the users can be access the system. Okay, with their resources from the place where they stand. Okay, so we need to make sure the testing done perfectly by region wise, by country wise, by remote user wise. The user might be in different area, in a remote area, so we need to check that. So that is a major role in the testing phase. So that we call as a smoke testing. Okay, smoke goes everywhere likewise. Okay, and next, the live deployment. So everything is ready. So we are now good to go and use the system. Okay, so this is the complete process that how we do the deployment, the existing installation or else the existing on-premises installation in the cloud. So these are the key steps that we need to mainly consider. Okay, as I said, identify what needs to be migrated. Yes, that I think all the clients who are listening already have been think that what I need to migrate. Okay, they already have, you might be having a certain checklist. Okay, these are things I need to migrate, and prepare infrastructure checklist. Yes, what are the hardware, what's my capacity, what's my bandwidth, very much important, and what are the software that I am going to migrate. Okay, it can be a Sage ERP, you might be bringing your HR solution, whatever solution that you can bring it into the cloud. Okay, and the next point is controls. Yes, as I said, the control, the security level is different, 3 levels. One is cloud controls and one is the tool control, one is the system control. And inside the system, how you give the control, how we are giving the privilege to view this report, view a trial balance, view a financial report. And one next point is printing. If you go for the cloud environment, especially on a work from home concept, how we are going the printing option. Yes, certain documents we need to print. Okay, which is related to audit. Yes, so we need to have the printers. So all that controls will be given. Okay, for example, if a user in a different location might be print, so it can be go to the respective user's printer. So these controls how we are going to handle. That's the most important, printing and the viewing. It's a control. And set up a required VM in MS Azure Cloud. Yes, as I explained this. Okay. Maintaining a separate VM, it's very much recommendable than having in the live. Okay, now in our certain on-premises, what we do, we have our live database, we have a test database and everything. So when we move into the cloud, we need to make sure here, this is the live database, we need to have a separate VM inside the one cloud. Test database, we need to have a separate VM inside the cloud. Okay, so this is the key decision-making area, set up a required VM in MS Azure Cloud. And perform the migration. Simple. We discuss in our this cycle, performing the migration to the cloud. And next is testing. So this is a valid point. A Sage sample database. Okay, this has been tested. Sage sample database, existing deployment, taken only just 37 minutes to migrate into Azure Cloud. It might be look surprised, but it does happen. Okay, so let's move into our next session and hope the existing installation and the deployment is very much clear. Let's move into new deployment. Here the newcomers. Okay, so this is another major area, but it's very much straightforward, not like existing one. Existing have certain very much hierarchy level setups and the process and the cycle we need to follow. But here very much we purchase a cloud, we get a Microsoft Azure Cloud, and we need to keenly focus on this step to be considered on. Okay, the main thing, what is the component in the new installation? What are the components that we are going to get in it? Okay, it's very much important. Okay, what's the cloud environment? What's the component? What the infrastructures that we are going to use it? Okay, what's our hardware checklist we are going to use it? Okay, so this is a kind of a new installation thing. And same as I explained on the previous, the controls. Okay, the printing and the viewing. Okay, and set up a required VMs. We discussed in our previous slide that how we are going to set up a new VMs. Okay, for my MS Azure Cloud, and perform the new installation. Yes, because this is a complete new installation. It can be a very much new to the new teams, a new company. So how we are going to perform the new installation in the cloud. Okay, so here we have clearly explained that new installation in the cloud. Okay, Sage 300 modules. We have certain modules which we have purchased, ARAPGL, ICO, EPO, and we create a provision. We create a VM. Either it can be test VM, yeah, it can be live VM. Okay, and we do the configure, test, and deploy. We report the test the database and we deploy it, and then action starts. So we can decide whether we are making the test as a live or else we are going to create a new VM as a live environment. So it's kind of a provision, and we are we are putting everything to action, and we are moving it. So this is a new installation, a new deployment of cloud. Okay, so let's move to our next. This is a general approach of migrating to the cloud. Okay, so in this we have three main categories. Okay, one is preparation, one is migration, one is testing. Okay, so certain things that we checked in we went through our previous slides, but this a different unique idea gives how we can do the migrating to the cloud in a general way. Okay. Yes, identifying the hardware, software, and a special requirement. Yes, because when we purchase on-premise server, if we are maintaining on-premise server, we know if the capacity is not enough and how we are going to get a new server, or as we are expanding our server. That's a decision making very quickly. But if you're going to the cloud, okay, when you start to expand the things, it's billable. Okay, so when expand the capacity, it's billable. So everything is based on it. So that's what the best thing is. We need to identify by forecasting our future database size, by forecasting our future business statics. We need to maintain what is the hardware, what's the software special requirements that we maintain. Okay, and we review the hardware and needs to be scaled up. Yes. Okay, preparation, we need to make sure that okay, how we can scale up. Okay, if we are hosting on an old cloud technology, we need to think, oh look, how I'm going to scale up this. Okay, so that is one of the most important. Okay, and next we look at determine if the existing installation needs to be reorganized. Yes, definitely we need to determine, okay, if we are going to put the new installation, existing installation as it is, or whether we are going to reorganize. Yes, it's an important thing. Okay, delete all the garbage and put only what you want. Okay, and check and adjust the costing, important part. Okay, so how we are going to adjust the cost, how we are going to maintain the cost, that's most important. Okay, so that's the thing. And determine date to start. Yes, after all the prerequisite testing and everything, how we are going to determine to start date, that's most important, because with our daily operation, daily production, how we are going to take this. Downtime, can we adjust few hours a day? Yes, definitely downtime is required. So we need to make sure how this downtime going to be take place. Next, we talk about the migration. If the downtime is extended, does the business needs to continue? I say no. If the downtime is extended, we say we do it in, for example, we do it in 37 minutes in previously for one database. We can say, yes, I will do this in 2 hours maximum. So then the business get downtime for a certain, but that can be managed, not an issue. Okay, and provision of cloud resources. Yes, we need to identify what are the required resource. It's very much straightforward for everyone. Okay, what are the resources that we need to provisionize it? Okay, on a cloud resource, and perform the migration. Yes, and how we are going to perform, what's our downtime, what's the time. Okay, the production is not working. Okay, the users are not working, all at home. Okay, today is a weekend, and we perform the migration. User knowledge transfer on access. One of the key thing. Yes, working on premise is different within a LAN network, and working on a cloud environment is different. Yes, it's not different, but it needs to educate the user how we can transfer, how we can use it, how you can view your document. Okay, because it's everything is matter. When you work from the home concept, everything matters, like internet, broadband speed. Okay, so everything is matter. So how we educate the user in a special tricks and tips on accessing the system, and providing a quick line support. during the initial rollout. Yes, as we partner, we will provide the quick support as we provide always. Okay, configuration and system testing. Yes, once the migration is done, we have to do the testing as a region wise, location wise, user wise, remote area wise, definitely. Okay, and these are testing phase. Logging with the multi-user success testing. Yes, we need to see, okay, from this remote area, how many users can log, how many users can do the same. This all comes under testing. It can functional testing is there. As I explained, the printing and email services. Yes, nowadays we can do the emailing like invoices and all. We can automate it. We can send to the relevant customers by email them. Okay. Then if everything is good, then we're good to go live. And Sage is and your ERP is on cloud. So hope this general approach give you a very clear idea. Key benefits of Sage 300 Cloud. One is business is ready, scalability very much, and better security. Okay, business ready means already it's available. Okay, because it's 24 hours available, 365 days. Okay, always it will run. So it's readily available, already available for the business. And it will not take that much of time or effort to deploy it. Yes, if we do on premises, we need to do the deployment on the server, but the same concept needs to be applied there. So the individual workstation setup, report designing according to the customer. So these things will get eliminated. Okay, so what we will do is we do all thing on a centralized. Okay, if your IT team is doing anything, so they will do in a centralized environment. Okay. So this is one of the, it will not take much effect and the key important of the deployment. And features partially for operational users. Yes, as a full feature partially, because if the control is not there, control will be there for respect to other users, but users will have a certain partially controls of their users. Easiest transmission, it's very straightforward. We can do the transmission very much easier. Scalability. If cloud hosting is to scale, if existing hardware is insufficient, yes, we need to check. We should need to be in a very much trend and current technology cloud environment and ensure how we can scale up the hardware or our capacity and everything when our sufficient is required. Existing LAN packs, yes, one of the questions whether do I need to buy a LAN pack or when I need to have a separate LAN pack. Okay. So we can have the existing LAN pack same as this as a share. Okay, so there is no any restrictions on that. Okay, and yes, employees can use like iOS, Android, tablet, mobiles, Mac browser. Even they go in a public transport, they can use the system. Okay, so it's accessible from anywhere, any device, anytime. Yes, and future-proof your business along the way. Okay, so it will really prove your business in the long term perfectly. Let's consider about the better security. As I said, the 3-layer security is built in the one central place to manage the entire security, not only network, entire security. It can be system, it can be cloud tool security, and it can be the cloud security. And it supports the SSL for encryption. So that's a best encryption security we know very well. And application security is carried over cloud hosting as well. I have explained this. Applications have their own security, and the same application security which you have given in the ERP will be remain even though we go host in the cloud environment. Accounts payable user will get only the accounts payable model. Okay, so that security will remain same. Okay, so hope the key benefits of Sage 300 Cloud helps you out. So moving to the next slide. Next, why we need to host this into the Sage, into the cloud, Sage 300? Yes, there are certain technology guidelines has been given. Okay, so I think it's very visible to you all. And we have the 6 main drawbacks to eliminate once we host into the cloud. Okay. Number 1, on-premises hardware. Yes, we need to have a very much larger hardware space. Okay, it can be a kind of, we can use that space from a different place, or we can accommodate someone to that places, but we are maintaining a separate premises to maintain our hardware. It can be switches and dual ACs and the routers, multiple hardwares for different operations. So this can be completely eliminated. Okay, that cost can be completely saved. Okay, so that is one thing on premises hardware. And next is IT complexity. Yes, you need to have your own securities, company policy wise securities, audits wise securities. So these securities very much complexity, how we can maintain. Okay, if one IT manager left the organization, when the next IT manager come, how this complexity can be handled. But once you host into the cloud, that complexity will be taken over there. Okay, so that is the best of eliminate on the IT complexity. And next is server availability. Yes, if it is highly thundering, so we need to some situation we need to offer our server. Certain industries, they use the relevant guard for that, but still we think, okay, what our servers happen, whether it's a natural disaster. Okay, so we need to think about the availability of the servers for 24 hours. But when you host in the cloud, okay, the cloud is actually, it's also different place. Okay, different region. We don't look into the cloud hub, but we look into the different region or different place where the system is hosted. Okay, it's also kind of on a physical environment, but what the best thing of the cloud is, it's kind of on a cloud on cloud. Cloud A will have your system, at the same time cloud on cloud, cloud B also will have your system, cloud C also will have your system. Okay, in a different region, in different country, different context. Okay, so that is the best thing of the cloud. If the cloud A goes down, the cloud B will up again. If cloud B goes down, cloud C will up again. So this is the best thing of hosting on cloud. Okay, and if you go over updates, yes, and how we are going to maintain the updates, one of the most important. Okay, whether we don't know, sometimes we don't get an idea, even we use our company servers or computers, laptops, we know what is the latest update of the Microsoft has given now, we remain still. But if someone tells one, we'll update it. So when you go into the cloud, the cloud partner, the cloud principal will do the updates for the cloud. So it's very much easy for us to ensure that we have an updated cloud version. And next we have backups. Okay, so if we go into the backups, okay, how we are going to maintain the backup, that's the most important. Taking the backup or scheduling the backup, hosting a backup, that's the most important. So in this end, we will talk about the backups are very much detailed. Okay, we call as a disaster recovery. Okay, the backups we can detail in our next slides, and how we are going to maintain the backup. But if you host in the cloud, your backup is, you don't need to worry about the backups, it's always secured. Okay, and low performance in month ends. Yes, when we host in our on premises, many users try to access the system, low performance, slowness, network is not that much of an I think. Okay, so we have those kind of low performance in month end as well. Okay, so these things will be eliminated on the hosting on cloud. So hope that we have provided you a clear insight view of hosting stage 300 in cloud in Microsoft Azure environment, and how this will help your business to grow up more and go further. So I just thanks to all. Be safe with yourself and your family, and I will hand over this to Enrico. Enrico, over to you.
Thank you, Steve. So my name is Enrico, and I'm finding an echo on this. Am I audible?
Yes, Enrico, you're okay. Now I think when you have the phone as well, the echo comes in.
Right. All right. Okay. So my name is Enrico, and I'll try to take you through some of the Azure components. And before I start, a big thank you to Nicholas who did a fantastic part on the why go to cloud. A few things that he mentioned was to future-proof and innovate. So we will touch a bit on that topic as much as I can. And then he also mentioned about emerging tech of IoT, BI, AI being high available and stuff like that. So that part also, let's try to check whether we can cover during our sessions. From Steve, he mentioned about IIS, one of the major components. We'll try to touch on that. He mentioned about any device, any browser, and on a time of work from home, it's very important that we have those kind of features. We also have features, something called Azure VDI that we will, if you need, you can take. Steve also mentioned about security in Sage, like Sage native security. You may be using Microsoft AD as a security. So we'll try to look at a little bit of those parts, not in a technical way, but as much as possible in a non-technical way. A very important topic he highlighted about different strategies for different databases, because when you take to the cloud, you need to see that there is a return on your investment. So you have to see how you're going to take and what you're going to take there. And once again, he mentioned about scalability, availability, and DR. Those are things that the cloud promises and cloud delivers without any problem. So I just wanted to take a few topics that we discussed before we move into my presentation, which is on the Azure. So I hope my first slide is visible. Generally, we talk of a lift and shift model. So this was for Steve's first approach, where there are databases and you're live, you're using a production server, you're using so many servers. So this is for something like that. So basically, you have a source, your on-prem data center. It could be in your server room, it could be on a different data center. So basically, whatever the source place, you have all your servers and your databases. Then there are different workloads, like you have Sage, you have Crystal Reports, you have different database workloads. All of those are what we call workloads. And all those workloads, what we do is we move them onto Azure. So there are tools mentioned. So we use something called an Azure Site Recovery Service tool that will take all your data, all your applications from the source and then move it into the cloud without a problem. And to do that, there is a process service. We have certified engineers from ZILLIONe to get that done. So we are a Microsoft Gold certified partner. We are a Microsoft Fast Track partner. So we have all those tools and technologies to move you forward onto the cloud. So coming back to some of these workloads, just to touch, I think this is the only technical slide that I have here. So on-premise, you may be using a single server or virtual servers. It could be on Windows, it could be on VMware, and the other components that you have like SQL Server, AD, Sage Security, all those things that are there on the on-prem servers. And that we will move it onto the cloud. And on the cloud also, we have similar workloads like the SQL workload for the database, the Active Directory to give your security, and so many other services that the cloud brings for high availability, for scalability, for more security, and so on and so forth, which I have not included here. So basically, these are the components that we will take, or the workloads that we will take from on-prem and shift it into the Microsoft Azure Cloud. Moving forward. So there are a few things that Steve mentioned. So coming on to this slide, basically, how we are going to do it is we are going to have a virtual machine on the cloud. Basically, you have two options for the database. This is the part that the scalability part and all those things that Steve was talking about, as well as which Nicholas was talking about. So one option is to take your database as it is and put it on this Azure VM using the same licenses that you have for Microsoft SQL Server. So this is the easiest approach. We are not talking of any migrations. We are not talking of anything. We just move the databases as it is onto the virtual machine. We configure Sage on the server with IIS, as Steve mentioned, and we configure the clients to use one of those browsers on any of the OSs that you have. So that is a very easy kind of a very lift and shift approach. But of course, there are limitations when it comes to scalability. You need to scale the VM and then only the database will scale. When it comes to availability, you need to make your VM high available if you need. It's not by default that's something that happens. So there's a little bit of a concern there that you need to address depending on your business requirement. But this is one of the fastest ways to move your infrastructure to the cloud, a very lift and shift approach that we have. The next option that we have is, once again, still we will need a VM to host your the Sage software, but use Azure SQL as a service. So Azure SQL as a service is a true cloud service which can natively scale up and scale down those processes that Steve mentioned, like month end, your backlog processes, month end, so many people accessing. So this is the part that will scale. So your database will scale as and when required, and give you a good throughput to your users who are using Sage. So this is the next option that we have. And on Azure SQL, there are so many options for different sizes of databases, different sizes of workloads. So please speak to Steve and the team before you decide on what's the best method for you. So what is good for client A, which may be taking the whole database and putting it on a VM, may not be the solution for client B, who might need to use an Azure SQL server that has different features and that the business call for having all those features. So this is a bit of an area that you need a lot of consultancy, and it will come free from ZILLIONe. You don't have to worry about that. To decide where to put your infrastructure and where to put your databases and what is the business requirement of high availability, of disaster recovery. You might have compliance requirements from if you're in insurance or in banking, in finance, in different areas. So look at all those. You might have history data requirements, like I need 5 years of history data. I need 8 years of history data. So think of all of those things when you're talking, and then we will see what are the best two components that would match to take you to the cloud. So coming to the SQL Azure side, we have basically the second part, the built-in machine learning that will look at the usage at the peak databases and scale up and scale down as and when needed to give a fantastic user performance. And then on the security side, once again, it's extremely secure. We have terabyte-sized data of people from governments and stuff like that running on this. So you really don't have to worry about the data. All the data is encrypted. Even if somebody takes it, there is no way that they could, start using that data, because everything is scalable. I think Steve mentioned about SSL certification. So that SSL certification is actually from the browser till it reaches the machine. Till it reaches the SQL server. So that part is controlled by that certificate that he mentioned. So end to end, you're protected. When you enter a client name on your browser, it leaves your browser through the SSL, which is 100% secure. And all the data that you store on your server is also encrypted and secured. So there is nothing that anybody could do, even they get it. They can't hack you during transit of your information. They can't hack you once you're on down. So those are some of the important things I felt like I should mention. And with that, I'll take you to the next slide. So the benefits that you get. One is it's a lower cost if you provision it right. If you look at the business scenario that you need, we can have a very low cost kind of a thing compared to all the other resources that you need, the premises, the electricity, the air conditioning, the number of admins you need, and all those things you look at. Definitely we can look at a lower cost. And then the managing data storage is very simple. You get the high availability, you get the disaster recovery, very nice interfaces and very scalable, very easy for your admins to manage that part. Then faster time to market. So each time you want to do something, you don't need to go and buy servers, you don't need to go and get memory upgrades, hard disk upgrades, upgrade securities, nothing like that. You can roll up your business and start off without any problem on the cloud, which is very easy to provision. I think Steve mentioned 37 needs to take a whole database. If it was on-prem, I think all of you all have gone through the on-prem installation of Sage and SQL and Windows, what lot of time it takes. So the scalability I mentioned, and the reliability, the security and the compliance, that is the major part that the Microsoft Azure Cloud gives you. I think from the day one, we are the only cloud who never went down. All the other clouds had downtime, so we have still no downtime, and we are 99.999% available. And the DRs are also similar. We have 3 geographic locations replication, and if you want further, that also can be done without any problem. And the last 2 things, the cloud for modern business, that I'll take on the separate slide. So I'll show you what other things, other than what you get from Sage and all these things we mentioned, the business things that you could get out of Azure. And finally, the integrate with other Microsoft tools. So once you get it on the cloud, it's easier to integrate with other Microsoft Cloud tools that you can really use to transform your business. So I hope the benefits in a nutshell are clear, but let me take one more slide to explain some of the added benefits that you have. So this is that future-proof part that Nicholas mentioned, and this is the IoT and the AI and that particular part that the Microsoft Cloud brings to you. So once you take your databases to the cloud on SQL as a service or SQL on the cloud, all these things are available for you. So Power BI to analyze your data, what you have on SQL Server, and it's extremely rich, extremely reliable, and it's extremely intuitive to use. So anybody who has used Power BI, of course you can use it on-prem too, but native cloud, it's really nice how Power BI works. We have something called Power Apps. You can go to your database, expose those tables and write small applications. Say for instance, you want to take a stock taking app. Now, if you have to do that, it's a bit of a difficult thing. So basically, you can create a small app that would read your current inventory levels straight away from Sage, and then you get your storekeeper or the audit people to enter, okay, what are the physical stock available, without taking data out into Excel and sharing it with people, and then get all that data once back into Sage. Using this small Power App that you create. So there are so many things. You might have some in-store promotion that you want to capture some data. You can use a Power App to get it done. Stuff like that. It's basically it's up to your imagination, and these are all no-code development. Basically, a business user, a finance user, a legal user, a credit user could just build these applications. Similarly, we have Power Automate for process automation and workflows, and of course Power Virtual Agents for chatbots and stuff like that. So imagine you have a situation where you want to expose your inventory into the web, and you can have this virtual agent talking to your SQL databases and saying, okay, this is the level of inventory available, this is what I have on purchase, so definitely by next month I could give you this stock. Those kind of virtual agents automatically answering your customers' queries and stuff like that. So it's totally up to your imagination. So these are some of the components that we have on that futuristic cloud, on future-proofing your Sage investment that you have. So you don't need to move to a different ERP, but come on the cloud and get all these added advantages. So other than that, we also have the AI Builder. You can use AI Builder to forecast inventories, to see patterns and all those things once you're on the cloud. But those are not, I believe, not the priorities today. But once you come onto the cloud, this is the journey that we would like to take you to really, innovate and transform how you do business. So this is one of the slides that I really wanted to spend some time, and it's very very easy. So you can integrate it with the complete Outlook side, other Office applications, Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agent. So think of these things when you're once we are moved to the cloud, or this may be one reason tempt you to move, make the move fast to the cloud, because this is the way we do business today. And clients always ask, do we have to always send an email and ask for some information? Can't we do it on a portal? Can't we do it to a virtual agent? Customers like to be self-sufficient. So this is the way we do the self-sufficiency. Information analysis is critical. So that's how you take the Power BI part, and the Power Automate part is where you give your users the ability to create their own applications. It could be on a test database, and then once the app is done, you can get IT to validate it and then put it on the production side so that people could use it. So it's a nice ecosystem. So basically, this is the future-proofing your business once you come onto the Azure Cloud. So other than that, very simply, there is one more slide. The responsibility matrix. As you can see, part of the responsibility, I'm not going to take too much time here, comes on to Microsoft on the physical data centers. So nobody has to look at your physical network, on your servers, on your network controls, on the application, on the identity. So you can see some are shared and some are not. But if you look at an on-prem, everything you have to do. So basically what we tell you is, we help you to concentrate on your core business, which may be manufacturing, which may be sales, services, while we look after part of your infrastructure with your IT team, enabling your IT team to take that previous slide, that futuristic slide, and deliver real business value to the company, other than just looking at backups and disaster recovery and scaling sizes and everything. Use them to transform your business. And while we take over the load of looking at your infrastructure, security, and that particular part. So with that, I think I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I hope it was clear what I mentioned about the cloud. So just to summarize, we have a lift and shift model. You can come with SQL Server on the VM or as a service. We have multiple tools to future-proof your business, and also how to enable your IT to provide more business value than just looking after servers and stuff like that, because those will be provided by the Microsoft Azure Cloud and ZILLIONe as a part of the service offering that we offer. So with that, I will once again, I believe I will hand it over to Steve to conclude the presentation. And please contact Steve and the team and the Azure team to take further on any of these concepts that we discussed. Thank you.
Thanks, Enrico. Steve, are you continuing or? Right, Steve's there. Yes, Steve, over to you. Right, I think what is up next is the Q&A session. We saw a few questions posted during this session. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, I think the first one we got is how do we integrate other apps like POS systems? I think Steve will be able to answer this.
Yeah. Integrating the POS system, actually, it's like this now. We can host any of the POS system to the cloud. Okay, so there is no any restriction on that. We can host any of the POS solutions to the cloud without any issues. So integrating with the Sage, okay, so we need to have quite a bit of an study on that. What are the POS system is currently used? Okay, so what are the transaction? What are the information needs to be flowing to the Sage ERP? So that you can contact the relevant account manager. So in person, we will be attend to that session separately. Next question, Amila. And next we have a questions like what is the server spec for Azure VM? Yes, if we discuss about the server spec, that will be like we said, we need to identify what are the things that we are going to migrate, what are the components, what are the solutions that we are going to migrate. So as we talk about a lot of scalability, so based on that only we can provide we can able to provide the Azure VM specification. So again, I'm just requesting to contact the account manager with the requirement, okay, with your current requirement. So we'll be delighted to help in person on that requirement as well. Okay. So next we have a question: is there any import export function available to the cloud? Import export function, I think are referring, if you are referring to the Sage 300 ERP, yes, the same import export currently which we are using in on premises will be available even though we host in the cloud environment. Okay, so there is no restrictions on that as well. And next question we have, is there the data stored in MS server? Yes. Data are stored in Microsoft server. It's Microsoft Azure Cloud. So it's like we can say designate the backup as a one word. I can say yes, it's stored. So we no need to worry about that. If you want, you can log into this. The admin can log into the cloud tool and they get their backups to an external devices or whatever they want. And next we have a questions, all other services license integrate to this. Yes, simply says you can have your ERP licenses, you can have your own cloud licenses. Okay, so all this will be bring into cloud environment. Next we have a questions, can we store the backup into local machine? Yes, because you will be having a kind of a file sharing component there, even though you host into the cloud. Okay, so you will having a file sharing component. We say FTP. Okay, we can see if we can say as simple file transfer protocol. We can maintain FTP. So we can take the backup and we can put it to the FTP, and that backup can be taken into our local machine or external device. Can we integrate? And next we have a question, can we integrate on premise system with cloud ERP? Yes, we can integrate the on-premise system with the cloud ERP. So we need to study about the learn about the what's the current on-premise architecture and what is the cloud architecture that we are moving into. So we can have a look on that and we can check the feasible on that. Based on that, we can provide you how we can take forward this on-premise ERP integrate with the on-premise system integrate with cloud ERP. There are some certain protocols, the rules and regulation we need to follow on that. But as a one word, I can say yes, we can integrate both. Any questions? Hope there is no any questions.
You can wait for another 1 minute if there are any more questions to come.
Sure.
Steve, I just want to add on that VM sizing.
Yes.
Because I think that is an extremely important question. What you have to remember is when you are doing the VM sizing, do get us involved, because there is many ways to do the sizing and there are so many different types of Azure VMs that we could provision that could reduce your or basically will increase your return on investment. So there are different configurations. That is one particular thing to look at. Secondly, if you're looking at using SQL as a service, then your VM doesn't have to take that database load. It's automatically a service. So your VMs actually will come down because we don't store any data on the VM. So we'll say if you're having a 1 terabyte hard disk or a SQL Server on-prem, when you take it to SQL Server as a service, that whole database processing load of that whole 1 terabyte database is on the service side of Azure, not on your VM. So your VM could still be small. But if you wanted to go with that first approach I mentioned, where we keep the SQL Server on the VM, then you need to have a 1 terabyte VM there. So, and a 1 terabyte VM versus a 1 terabyte SQL as a service database with a VM front-end application, it's completely different on performance, on cost, and things like that. So please get it validated by us, and this is a part that everybody from IT and our people would really need to work to architecture. What's the best solution? What's the best return on investment for you?
Yes, thank you, Enrico. So there is another question. Can Azure migrate without doing a system upgrade? Can we migrate to Azure without doing a system upgrade? Yes, we can migrate, and we need to check the feasible that how down that the version is there and how we can empower with the technology of the Microsoft Azure provides. Okay, so based on that, we can decide, okay, how we can migrate the existing system to the cloud environment. Okay, existing system without upgrading to the cloud environment. Okay, so the next question we have, how does use access the Sage Cloud via URL or any other clients? Yes, you can access the Sage through the URL. If you are hosted the Sage Cloud, Sage web screen, you can access through URL. And if you are hosted the classic screen or as a desktop screen, we can access through the URL as well as through the RDS, we can say, remote desktop. And next question, who's supporting Microsoft Azure? Yes, ZILLIONe Technology will take the support and the responsible and discuss with your team and your requirement, and we check the scalability and the requirement, and as a ZILLIONe, we will support the Microsoft Azure Cloud. Any questions?
Can wait for another half a minute if there are any more questions.
Sure, Amila.
Right. Seems like we don't have any more questions. Anyway, even after this webinar, you can always contact us, our consultants and our account managers if you have any questions related to today's webinar. So let me thank Nick, Steve and Enrico. I think you all explained the concept in a very simpler manner where everyone was able to get an idea on the overall cloud strategy and hosting Sage 300 ERP in cloud. Especially the areas like architecture and security are the main concerns for any organization will have when they think about moving to the cloud. I think all our presenters were able to simplify those complexities for you all. So if you don't have any questions, we can end today's webinar now. So once again, on behalf of ZILLIONe, I would like to thank you all for sparing a valuable time to attend our webinar today. Hope all of our lives will get back to normal soon, and we'll be able to see a normal day at work very soon. So stay safe, and we will meet again through another webinar like this. Feel free to send us all your suggestions on like requests and all these things if you need any more assistance like this. So thank you everyone, and have a good evening.